Hello, Commander29 here, another Topic of the Week video, and this week I'll be talking about Trollhunters. Now, fair warning, I will be spoiling a lot of major plot points in Trollhunters. So if you don't want to get spoiled, then I highly recommend holding off on watching this video until you've seen the show, or decided you don't care about spoilers. But if you don't care about spoilers and you want to hear what I have to say, then please keep watching. This week's topic was submitted by a Tumblr anon, and their topic is: I heard that you've watched Trollhunters but then dropped the show at some point. If that's true, is there any reason why? What aspects of the show's writing did you disagree with? Yeah, that's true. I watched Trollhunters. In fact, I watched it up to, I don't remember the exact episode, but it was a couple episodes from the ending of the show. And I dropped it and refused to watch the rest of it. There's context to go over here, and I'll be going over the issues that I have with the writing of the show. But I want to stress something. Despite the fact that I will be complaining a lot about some horrendous writing decisions, overall, I thought a vast majority of Trollhunters was really good. A solid 80 to 90% of the show was really enjoyable. Even Season 3, which is where the really big problems start happening, there were parts of it that I actually really liked, and I kind of liked it at some points what it was building up to. And then I have issues of how it crapped its pants at the end. Now, the first issue that comes up, this is the first time that when I was watching the show, I kind of started having issues. It was Vendel's assassination. Now, the show had been generally pretty good about not killing off characters. Droll, earlier in the show, seemingly sacrifices himself to help Jim, which is a great show of his character development, but he lives. He loses his arm, but he gets this, cool, metal robotic arm, which is pretty freaking sweet. But it was a nice show that he was willing to sacrifice himself for Jim, a character who he had previously resented heavily for stealing the mantle of Trollhunter in his eyes. And Vendel was another character who was another troll who was skeptical of Jim in the beginning. Vendel and Droll didn't like him. Droll hated him. Vendel was not really enthusiastic about the whole human troll hunter thing. But both of them ultimately came to warm up to him and became his friends and allies, which is great. Yay, character development! Then in Season 2, we get the whole trial storyline. Now this... I have issues with this overall, not just Vendel's death, because Vendel's death was stupid and pointless. And even when you would think that maybe the warning that he had prepared, basically, that them seeing how he died might have actually tipped them off to who was, the traitor. Immediately after that, it's revealed anyway, and making Vendel's death pointless, and they all lose, which means they couldn't even prevent, the bad things from happening. So his death was completely pointless, and nothing in the show would have changed, or very little of the show would have changed, at least, had he still stayed alive. And it was really disappointing to see a character like Vendel, who had gotten that character development to support Jim, ultimately just get killed off. I thought that was dumb. But the whole trial stuff, because Jim's put on trial with the trolls, and you would think, okay, so, when they're doing this, they're going to have to really kind of present a case, and Toby is like, oh, I watched, lawyer shows and stuff. So you're thinking that, I was thinking that he was going to comedically come in and, win the case, which would have been great, because I was thinking, in my head, I had it more like the trial in Mass Effect 2 during Tally's loyalty mission, where Shepard comes in and he's basically just like, Paragon, 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 and he wins the trial. I was really kind of expecting something where a character comes out of nowhere and he ends up winning the case, and doing this while Claire is doing more investigation. This whole trial was completely meaningless anyway. Toby just walks around just making jokes. They turned it into a joke. Okay, it's a very serious, serious situation with Jim, and Toby's just dropping jokes, and it's okay, this isn't the point to make Toby just an idiot. Toby can be an idiot, yes, but it's not the right time. And it was completely stupid. It wasn't even funny, and it just kind of wasted time. And then the whole investigation on the side ends up being completely meaningless. And then Vindel's dead, and he's killed, and then the whole trial means nothing in the long run. And it was really frustrating because I like seeing these types of stories done in, where you have a character on trial, and usually there's some kind of caveat where they're stuck and that you need to really work hard to get them out. But in this, it's just like, it felt like none of the writers really wanted to write the trial, so they just were like, whatever. It was dumb. But this was not enough to ruin the show. I've talked about this before, but I have like a criticism threshold. So if I have issues and they start building, there's a certain threshold when I'm watching something that, unless it reaches that, I'm not going to be like angry at the show. And this was getting up there, but it wasn't quite at that point. Because while the stuff that happened in this was dumb, it wasn't enough to ruin the show. And then Season 3 came in, and Season 3 was actually pretty good. There were a lot of parts of it that I liked. And it was really kind of setting up, like, the big finale. And then we get to the parts where I really start getting annoyed. So, during the season, Droll dies. Excellent. So now, two of the characters who got great development when it came to appreciating, respecting, and becoming friends and allies of Jim are now kaput. They're gone. And I'm going to bring this up later because I have a bit of a cynical theory, and I don't know if it's true, but I'll talk about this later in regards to them being killed off. Okay. I really kind of hate this whole thing where it's like, here, we pretended a character was going to die, but they didn't. They just made a heroic sacrifice and still lived. Aha, but we tricked you. Now they're really dead. Like, why? Again, a pointless death that just ultimately felt completely meaningless. And what's so weird to me, especially with Vindel and Droll, is that the show overall didn't really kill a whole lot of characters off. It's not like Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead, where you have people dying constantly. I mean, shoot, even Arg, when Arg died, aka he turned to stone, so he was effectively dead in the eyes of a troll, because that turning to stone means you're dead. They brought him back. They actually had a nice build-up to where if Arg did die, I wouldn't have felt that, heartbroken about it. I really like Arg. But the fact is that they had a build-up, and they made it clear that he is going to die, and then they kind of give you some time to get used to that idea, so that when it does ultimately happen and he turns to stone, I'm not mad at it. But then they still bring him back. They still bring him back. He still comes back. They brought Arg back to life. Droll made his sacrifice earlier, and he still lived. So then why all of a sudden are we just killing these characters off? That was really annoying me. But then after that, we were introduced to mother effing Merlin. Merlin comes in, like, oh wow, they've been talking a lot about Merlin, and I thought he was dead. Apparently not. Alright, that's cool. Merlin comes in, and you think, oh, he's gonna help with the big final battle and everything. And then we reached the point that made me drop the show. Okay. Merlin tells Jim, you're going to need to turn into a troll permanently if you want to, win the big battles, slay the Jabberwocky, and save Narnia. So you would think, you think Jim's going to go, screw that. I don't need to do that. Because Jim's development, or Jim's arc, especially early on in the show, was proving himself as the human troll hunter. You had trolls like Vindel and Droll who were skeptical of him. Droll outright hated him. There was clear disdain for the fact that a human was becoming the next troll hunter. Because humans lack the sheer physical brute strength of a troll. So you're thinking there's no way he can do anything. But he does. Using his intelligence and with help from his friends and allies, he succeeds as the troll hunter. He gains new powers and all sorts of stuff. But it's showing that just because he's a human doesn't mean he can't be the troll hunter. I like that story arc, and I like that arc for his character. because it's also really affected Droll and Vendel. Droll specifically, because Droll went from hating Jim and wanting to, feeling like he stole, the mantle of Trollhunter from him, and then he comes to respect him, willing to sacrifice himself for Jim, becoming a close friend and ally. It was great. And Jim makes up for the fact, like, Jim may be human, and he may not have that physical strength and durability that, trolls have, but he made up for that. He had friends. He had multiple trolls on his team. He had Blinky, he had Arg, and he had Droll. Then he'd have Toby with the Warhammer and Claire, who ultimately ends up getting the staff. And you're like, okay, this is a pretty freaking solid team. So it's not just Jim is the troll hunter. The team, are like basically Team Troll Hunter. Jim is the troll hunter, obviously. He's the one with all the plot device magic and stuff. The literal, like, suit of magic and armor and sword and all that fun stuff. So it was very much a message in the show that you don't have to be what these other people say you have to be in order to fulfill this role. I like that. It's, and this can kind of apply to real world, where if someone says, oh, you can't do this because you don't fit these X criteria that I have established, it's like, no, it doesn't really matter. Because I work hard and I put in the effort to do this and succeed, and just because I don't fulfill your specific criteria doesn't mean you can slot me down. I like this. I like this story. I like that message. And then this is all thrown out the window, right into the trash at the end of the show. Because Merlin's like, well, you gotta turn into a troll, and then it's treated as this, deeply serious choice that Jim has to make. Why would he make that? And even worse, he preps this. He gets ready to do this without talking to any of his friends and family. That's just another insult to Jim's character, because that contradicts his character development from earlier in the show. When he ran off into the Dark Lands on his own without talking to anyone, that caused some problems. But after that, there was a lesson of talk to your friends, work with them. These people care about you, and completely eschewing anything that they would say in order to do something on your own is kind of dumb. So Jim's learned that lesson. Except now, apparently, he completely shuts them all out in order to make this choice on his own. And why would he do this? Why would he turn himself into a troll permanently? To basically become to contradict all of his development that he got in the earlier part of the show, in the part of his character arc. Because he was told that you had to be a troll hunter. Then he proved that wrong. And then ultimately, in the end, it's like, yeah, screw that. Screw everything that we established earlier in the show. No, you have to be a troll in order to do this. Why? And this screws up Jim's life. Being stuck as a troll, he won't be able to go out and during the day anymore. He'll be confined indoors or into the night. He won't be able to go back to school. He won't be able to live a normal life. His entire life is effed. Why? Because Merlin told him to? There is nothing compelling about this. And I was livid. I was trying, to contain myself, but I was just so freaking pissed off at this idiotic decision. Because it completely contradicts everything that the show had been building up, everything that the show had established. Completely throws Jim's entire character arc out the window. Why? To throw some random plot twist just a couple of episodes from the end of the show? It's idiotic. It genuinely ruins the show. Killing off Vendel and killing off Droll, as much as people know that I hate character deaths, that's not what ruined the show. No. It was this decision, this single decision in the writing that made everything before it pointless. And it pissed me the hell off, and I refused to watch the rest of it. There are so many better ways that this could have been handled. First of all, you could have just had Merlin help out. Look, I would love if they were able to bring back Droll and Vendel, but if they couldn't, and just having Merlin in was, alright, this is interesting, then have Merlin help. If we have to have the whole turning into a troll thing, there's an interesting way you actually could have handled this that would have been in line with the rest of the show. First of all, it shouldn't be something permanent. Because it should be something that is done temporarily and that Jim can turn off. Does everyone remember the fact that they had a little arc in the beginning, or earlier in the show, where Blinky turned into a human? This just suddenly happened, and it was temporary. And it was actually a nice little touching little arc, because Blinky got to actually experience things that he had never been able to experience properly before. Being out in the sunlight, being out during the day, experiencing what it's like to be a human, even if only for a short time. And that was temporary. But no. So a troll can turn into a human temporarily, and not something that was even attempted to do. It was just something that happened on accident. But a human can't turn into a troll temporarily. It has to be permanent. That's stupid. It's illogical. But okay, have Jim have the, like, say Merlin says he needs to turn into a troll to use some specific powers to slay the Jabberwock and save Narnia. And then he has the ability to turn back into a human after the battle. Let's just say that Merlin gives him a little potion that glug, and he drinks that and turns back into a human. But during the battle, he realizes that these powers just don't really work for him because he's not really a troll. And then he turns himself back into a human during the battle, and working with the rest of his friends and working with other trolls and Merlin, they win the battle. To show that no, he doesn't have to be a troll. It's not a requirement. It's not something he absolutely needs to do. And it's something that he ultimately rejects in favor of what they had always been doing. That would have actually been very much in line with the show. That's what they should have done. If you have to keep Jim being a troll in, at least for a short time, make it temporary. I really don't mind that. But it's the fact that he's permanently stuck like that? No. It almost feels like something that was forced in at the last minute. And I would have a little bit more respect for the writers if that was the case, if there was some executive meddling from on high where someone came in or forced this thing, like, Jim has to turn into a troll. Like, we're 3 episodes from the finale. He has to turn into a troll. I don't care if it makes sense. He has to turn into a troll. Like, it really does feel like that. And it feels like whenever you see a show like, Voltron, that completely pisses its pants at the very end. It feels like that stuff that was like forced in by executive meddling. I really seriously hope that is the case with this, because I have a hard time trusting the writers, really, because of this. So that's what I disagree with in the show's writing. To basically take everything that had been developed in the show and throwing it out the window for what? A cheap shock twist? Jim forced to become a troll? What? Do you want to add stakes to this? There were already enough stakes. We have evil villains out there. It's infuriating. Especially when you see a show that is so willing to completely betray its own message for literally no reason. It's dumb. It's bad writing. And it's really disappointing because I really did enjoy the show. And ultimately, a lot of the plot points the show had established, I know they didn't finish it out because there are too many plot points and too much stuff going on just with the main storyline to actually deal with any of that stuff. And I sure as hell will never touch any of these expanded Tales of Arcadia shows because of how bad Trollhunters went. And honestly, the really obvious backdoor tie-in, the backdoor pilot episode with those stupid alien characters that I found kind of obnoxious. Yeah, I'm sure as hell never going to watch that stupid alien show or any of the other shows that they have for it. Like, when you screw up your pilot show for this with Trollhunters and make it so awful in the end, why the hell would I ever watch the rest of them? Especially when I don't even like the alien characters. I don't know. It really pissed me off. So if you're wondering why I stopped watching Trollhunters and refused to keep watching the show, it's that. It's the complete betrayal, the cheap, completely meaningless drama that Merlin brings in. Honestly, I really would have been happier if Merlin was just dead and he didn't come in, because he was a catalyst in ruining the show. don't bring him in. Just keep Drawl. I really like Drawl. Drawl's a great character, and you wasted him. Oh yeah, no, I said I was going to bring this up. I do find it strange and kind of interesting that the true troll characters who were the most skeptical of Jim as a human troll hunter were the both ones to be killed off. They were the primary deaths. And I think they would have been the most against Jim turning himself into a troll to, fulfill whatever, requirements that Merlin said, because they'd already come to respect him as the human troll hunter. I mean, I can't say that they did kill them off so that, they could make Jim a troll. It feels like Drawl specifically. Maybe not Vendel. Vendel just felt like a complete cheap shock death that ultimately meant nothing, but I do find it interesting that those two characters really, they were gotten rid of. And, oh yeah, another point to bring up before I end this is that everyone's really kind of upset at first about Jim turning himself into a troll. Even the trolls themselves, like Blinky and Arg. And then, boom, like that, they all warm up to this and they're like, oh, but it's okay. No. It's like almost like the writers were self-aware of just how stupid this was and how contradictory it was to Jim's character development. And then it's like, let's just move on. Let's just sweep this under the rug because we don't want to actually deal with any of the consequences of our actions in this. And it's stupid. Yeah, and that's all I really have to say about that one. It's way to ruin a great show, guys. Yeah. Well, if you want to submit a topic to me, you can either comment below if you're on YouTube, if you're on Tumblr, send me an ask about topic and then whatever topic you want me to talk about. Or if you're on the Discord, you can go into the topic submissions channel and send me a topic. Just make sure to follow the rules I'll be posting down below. If you want to watch last week's topic video, you can check that out here. If you want to watch next week's topic video, you can check that out here when I get that done. So what are your thoughts on Trollhunters? Please comment below. And thank you for watching.